stand by for action.
Thanks for joining me. My name is Dave Dillon. I am the Unpleasant Blind Guy. I want to thank Carl J. Malone, that's Carl TPF, on the Twitter for kind comments about one of my previous shows, the one called Positions. Now let's get on with this one because it's rather special. Now, regular listeners know that when I do a long-form show, I normally start with a main topic and then wind things up with an Awesome American segment. I enjoy featuring memorably good people, and listeners have told me they enjoy it as well. Well, I had a great topic for this show, and I intended to end it up with an Awesome American segment that I thought would make people go, "Aw." Well, during show prep, I did a little more research and found that this Awesome American segment will make people go, "Wow." It ties in with so many things that are going on today. How many stories have we heard in the news about law enforcement officers and government officials being accused of corruption, abuse, and just generally not caring about citizens? Now, sometimes these stories are fabricated and circulated by people who want to create an adverse condition so that they can take advantage of it. And yes, I'm talking about people like Al Sharpton, the establishment media, and many crooked politicians who want to deflect attention away from the fact that their policies have failed and failed miserably. Some of the stories, though, sadly, are true. Many people in all points of the political spectrum here in the United States of America are concerned with the militarization of our local police forces and with the push for a nationalized police force. We recognize the danger that this poses, and it only adds to the atmosphere of distrust and animosity that exists today. These are the kind of stories that I and other show hosts wade through all of the time. Stories of mismanagement, misinformation, and misguided people that can sometimes leave both us and the people who listen to us frustrated to the point where we want to just shut everything off and move to a cave somewhere. Well, I hope you find people are ready for something a little bit more refreshing. This entire program is going to be devoted to Awesome Americans surrounding one story. Now, this was brought to me via Sue from New Mexico, and the Awesome Americans for this time are 911 dispatcher Marilyn Hinson and officers from the Fayetteville, North Carolina Police Department and retired U.S. Army veteran Clarence Blackman. The story is by Greg Barnes of WTVD-TV, Channel 11 in Raleigh-Durham, Fayetteville, North Carolina, and it's dated May the 14th. Headline: Elderly cancer patient calls 911 because he has no food.
An 83-year-old man with cancer makes a desperate plea and a call to 911. He told the dispatchers he did not have any food or water and was physically unable to leave his house. His story really struck a chord with those 911 operators. Greg Barnes is live outside our downtown Fayetteville studio right now to show us their act of kindness. Greg?
Absolutely. This is a heartwarming story. Clarence Blackman says he's a veteran, and he doesn't have any immediate family, he says, here in the Fayetteville area. So he doesn't have anybody to call on, doesn't have anybody to help him get around, and as we said, nobody to call if he gets in trouble, except 911, which he did today, and he got the ear of a guardian angel. For 81-year-old Clarence Blackman, a simple ham sandwich was a feast of human kindness.
It was like a little miracle ringing in my ear, and I thought, well, Jesus, you've answered all those prayers.
At just over 115 pounds, it is no stretch to say Blackman is skin and bones and cancer.
I got critical cancer.
Today, after months in the hospital for cancer treatment and rehab, Blackman came home to an empty refrigerator, literally nothing to eat. Hungry and desperate, he called 911.
But what I need is someone to get to the grocery store and bring me some food because I need to eat something. Whatever you can do to help. Obviously, I can't do anything. I can't go anywhere.
Okay.
I can't get out of my damn chair.
Okay.
That 911 operator, Marilyn Henson, along with Fayetteville police, answered his call for help in person and brought him some groceries.
He was hungry. I've been hungry. A lot of people can't say that, but I have. And I cannot stand to see anybody go hungry.
His need was simple: some popcorn, a head of cabbage, some cans of beans and beets, tomato juice, and soft drinks. Enough, he says, to get him through the next few days. After that, he's not sure what he will do. But on this day, a guardian angel made sure Clarence Blackman doesn't go to bed hungry tonight. Yeah, and he called that ham sandwich a blessing that he really appreciates. The good news is he's going to soon be getting a home health care nurse that will check in on him about twice a week. In the meantime, if you'd like to help him, contact Fayetteville Police. They'll put you in touch with him. And for right now, Steve and Tisha, we didn't nominate those 911 operators and Fayetteville Police as heroes of the day, for they really are.
All right, now I'm going to put up links to this story, direct links to the video, and all of the source materials up, as I always do, at UBG Contact on the Twitter. That's where you can contact me with comments, questions, show suggestions, suggestions for more awesome Americans. It is the main contact point for the show. Now, when I first saw this story, I thought that was the end of it, and possibly a lot of other people did too. But in less than 24 hours, as the Hep Cats say, this story went viral and was picked up by establishment media and new media outlets, such as the Washington Post, the Huffington Post, and others. And while the story was being spread, in less than 24 hours, this happened.
C11 Together is helping a starving veteran in Fayetteville who's in need of a meal. We first introduced you to 81-year-old Clarence Blackman here last night. Blackman has cancer and he can't leave his house. He called 911 yesterday because he needed food. Greg Barnes is live inside our Fayetteville newsroom. Greg, I know you're hearing from people all across the country who want to help.
Yeah, good evening, Steve. The response has simply been overwhelming. We've heard not only from so many of you here in the heart of Carolina, but we got calls and offers for donations all the way from California to Canada as his story went viral last night and early this morning. And today, Clarence Blackman said he's been blessed by so many of you.
Oh, boy. I love cucumbers fresh off the vine, but
From desperation to delight, Clarence Blackman's phone hasn't stopped ringing today with folks offering food and help.
steamed cabbage and Polish sausage tomorrow. The other one is a baked chicken and fresh cucumbers and tomatoes.
That joy, a far cry from his desperate 911 call for help just 24 hours earlier. Yesterday, after months in the hospital for cancer treatments and rehab, the veteran returned to his Fayetteville home with no food, no water, and no way to get any. The 911 operator who took the call and Fayetteville police delivered some groceries in person, and many of you poured out your hearts with overwhelming offers to help. From an empty refrigerator yesterday to shelves and countertops overflowing today with food.
Folks are calling us directly. Folks are calling our call center. Folks are dialing 911, basically saying, how can we help Mr. Blackman? So
a lot of you wanted to know how and why Mr. Blackman wound up in that situation. We did too, so we contacted DSS officials. The director told me today that they weren't even aware of his plight until we told him about it. Apparently, the private rehab center that discharged Mr. Blackman failed to notify anyone that he was going home. A DSS worker spent several hours today with Blackman. They're now taking care of his needs. And as for those donations, Clarence Blackman just asked you send them to the Salvation Army to help others.
I want to have every person that goes to bed hungry under a bridge. At least they can go by Salvation Army. They may have to listen to a sermon, but they get some food.
And what a testimony Clarence Blackman has. He told me today he is truly thankful for all of the help and offers of support that he's gotten so far. If you would still like to make a donation directly to him, you can through the Salvation Army. Live in our Fayetteville newsroom, Greg Barnes, ABC 11 Eyewitness News.
Apologies for the condition of some of that audio. It was the best that could be found. Now that's all quite the contrast from stories being circulated today about an American people seemingly ready to jump at each other's throats at a moment's notice. It shows law enforcement officials and law enforcement officers involved in a voluntary act of kindness, the kind of acts of kindness that they engage in all the time. It shows what happens when officialdom has a face and a heart and the willingness to go beyond their job description to give aid to someone in need. It also carries special significance as Monday, May the 25th, will be Memorial Day in the United States of America. On that day, we will remember and celebrate those veterans who gave the last measure of themselves in service to their country. This story is a reminder that awesome Americans and awesome patriots from other countries in the world are still out there and still appreciate the sacrifices made by these people. Mr. Blackman suggested that people give to the Salvation Army. Well, heading into Memorial Day, I'm suggesting that people also consider donating to an organization called Unforgotten Heroes. Just go online and look for www.unforgottenhero.com, and you'll be able to give to a charity that helps our veterans on a personal level. People, it has been an honor and a privilege doing this edition of The Unpleasant Blind Guy today. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I appreciate all of those who have served and are serving in our military and in our support services. Thank you for listening, and may your God go with you. Goodbye. The Unpleasant Blind Guy is copyright 2015, Anno Domini.